Welcome back, guys, to another video. It's your man Jay Will. So some people might say that Samsung is probably the king right now of smartphones, and that nobody's really touching them at this point. But that's something that could be argued by many people, and it's just all a matter of opinion. Now, this is the Samsung Galaxy S7, and I felt like before I get my S8 out on camera, I wanted to go ahead and revisit the S7. Now, I started off a couple years ago with using a specific camera that I purchased, which I really enjoy for shooting videos. And it obviously has really good microphones on it. It's my Canon camera. But eventually, I started to get people to say, wow, it looks a little grainy, Jay. Good video, good quality, but it's a little grainy. And then I started picking out a phone. I was like, man, I decided, should I get a DSLR? What should I do? And, I just decided, the Galaxy S7 can be used as a camera for YouTube. And right now, that is the only purpose that I have this phone for. It's just doing YouTube videos. Now, when you compare, the quality from a DSLR and the Galaxy S7, obviously the DSLR will be able to do a whole bunch more on paper and in certain lighting situations, and it's just going to be probably a lot better. However, for YouTube, you don't really need to spend too much money on a camera if you have a good cell phone. So that leads me to say, I've been using this particular phone for nearly 99% of my YouTube videos. Now, right now, I'm recording this with the also famous LG G6. The G6 has fantastic cameras, by the way. I was going to use the Moto G5 Plus, but I wanted to talk a little bit about both of these side by side here in a little bit. But the Galaxy S7, I bought this brand new at launch, and I paid full cost for it, $672 plus taxes. It's an expensive phone. So in my eyes at this point, I'm definitely getting my money's worth. Now, I know there's been a lot of deals on it, and there's deals right now. You can get this phone, you can get the Exynos version of this phone for $440 right now through B&H. Seriously. And that's probably the better purchase than some other phones. The Galaxy S7 Edge Exynos version is $549. Those are just great purchases. But this has been my phone of choice for doing YouTube videos, and there's a couple of reasons why. This camera right here, I got the best compliment the other day. Someone said, man, did you change you got a new camera? And it was so funny because it was this was the phone I was using, because I guess that person doesn't know that I use this phone to do a lot of videos, even though I have a really nice camera. All I did was change the lighting in my office. I put my spotlight somewhere else, and I took away one of the spotlights, and I don't use it. And I just use this camera, and I use an external microphone. And this phone performs like a champ when shooting YouTube videos. There are some disadvantages to the camera. I'm limited to 10 minutes with 60 frames per second and 4K. But fortunately for me, I don't do a lot of 4K, and I do like to shoot in 60 frames per second. But with this phone, if I feel like the video is going to be longer than 10 minutes, I'll just switch it over to regular 1080p. Because with that, you do get optical image stabilization even though I'm not moving. The quality is still really, really good. So the Galaxy S7, for me, I don't feel, sometimes, you buy a phone and then, first adapters, we never get the best deals. We may get a free item like an SD card or something, whatever they're giving away, the goggles. I got those free and they're still brand in the box. But I feel like right now, this was a good investment for my YouTube channel. This one right here has proven to be very solid. Now, I used to use this as a daily driver, and I still could, I just prefer to just keep it charged up and cleared out, and I'll put like an SD card in there and have everything default to the SD card for video. But that has been the primary focus of this phone. Now, getting away from that, this is actually a fantastic phone. When I first got Nougat on my S7 Edge, it just destroyed my S7 Edge. When I got it on here, it improved it. And when I say destroyed, I mean, it just took away the functionality and performance, and it took away battery life. With this phone though, this phone lasts for a long time. I can go probably almost a week, or a week probably, without a charge on here, depending on how many videos I'm putting out. Sometimes I can go longer than a week on a single charge to record videos. And when I was using this as a daily driver, it performed very well. I didn't have any problems with it. I think you're getting a lot for this, even though now you can grab it for under $500. And you can get the better version. Like I said before, you get a 5.1 inch quad HD display. which is really, really nice. And this phone is IP68 certified, which is good. You have Gorilla Glass 4 on the back panel, which is great. Gorilla Glass 4 on the front, which is fantastic. So, you know, there's a lot about this phone that a person could love. I think the only thing now, which I'm happy that Samsung is going to be updating, is the back buttons here. These buttons right here are reversed, and I just don't like it now. Now that I'm using every other phone with the Android where it should be, I'm not really feeling it too much. Now, this phone has a pixel count of 577 pixels per inch for that 5.1 inch display, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I don't have any problems with the display quality on this phone. I still use it sometimes when it's not on, like if I'll record a video and I'll do playback on here. I'll put it up on a little stand while I'm editing something else, and I'll do playback on this screen, and it's absolutely fantastic. Now, Samsung upgraded the S8 to Gorilla Glass 5 on the front and back, so that's good. Now, with a pixel count of 577, the larger S8 is going to have a pixel count of 570, and that display is 5.8. So that gives you the screen to body ratio there. This phone is 5.1 inches. And it measures at 142.69 by 7.9, and the S8 measures 148.68 by 8, but the pixel count is still 570 pixels per inch. 1440 by 2960 is what it's going to be on the S8, and I will put these side by side. This is 1440 by 2560, so that gives you some kind of idea. They really did do a nice upgrade on the display, but this display right here still is fantastic. And if a person has the S7 and you don't need an upgrade, I would tell you not to buy the S8. Don't buy it if you just don't need an upgrade. Enjoy what you have. You still have a fantastic phone. This phone has gotta be, I know I spoke on it already, but it's gotta have just one of the best displays ever. And then the cameras are top notch. The size of this phone is definitely doable. For those that never bought this phone, I mean, I can't tell you not to buy it over the S8. Like if you're in the market for an S7 or an S8 and you like compact phones, these are about the same size. However, this one has a smaller display. So obviously, if you're willing to spend a little bit more money, like $300 more, go for the S8. But if you want to pocket a lot of cash and still get a fantastic product, the S7 is definitely an option. Now, this has Bluetooth 4.0, or 4.2, I'm sorry, and the S8 is going to have 5.0. A lot of people might not point that out, but it does. This also has the older technology of USB 2.0. However, there are more of these floating around than USB Type-C. You can find a lot more. I know there's a lot of adapters out there for USB Type-C at this point to micro USB, and they even come in the box, but still, this is definitely an option. This has a front-mounted fingerprint reader, and the S8 is going to have a rear-mounted fingerprint reader, but the S8 will have an iris scanner. So there's definitely, some upsides to it. This has fast charging. This even has fast wireless charging. And this is just still a great option. Now, this phone right here is running 7.0. It does have the Nougat update, so that's something to think about if you're just considering it. And I just think that right now, if you want to save $300+, this is still an option. Now, I know that I don't use this as a daily driver anymore, but it's still in pristine condition. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And I just use it for YouTube videos. However, there are phones coming on the market like this phone over here that have the same camera. And it definitely shows. This camera on this Moto G5 is absolutely phenomenal. It definitely rivals this camera right here. I've got a video up on these. Maybe if I remember, I'll put a link in the description. But you have so many options now. If you just didn't want to spend, even if you didn't want to spend the $440 on this phone, you could definitely grab that phone because you're getting stock Android and you're getting the same camera on the back, which is pretty awesome. But the Galaxy S7, I will match it against the Galaxy S8 once I get it in here for an unboxing and review. And I'll put these side by side so you can kind of see, but just reading the specs to you now, looking at the specs myself, and you can check it out yourself, place them side by side on gsmarina.com. Or phonescoop.com, either one of those, put them side by side and compare them. You'll see that they did incremental upgrades. The best upgrade that they did, that some might say, is the display and then giving it an iris scanner. But after that, and the Snapdragon 835. This has a Snapdragon 820 in it, but this still runs like a champ. There's absolutely nothing going bad about this processor. It's really, really solid. So with that being said, I think that if you don't have the Galaxy S8 or the Galaxy S7, the S7 is still a great option. I could still recommend it because it's pocket friendly now at $440, and then it's literally pocket friendly. Now some might say, oh, it's the old style, it's got those huge bezels, and don't buy it, get the latest and greatest. Well, it actually has the same camera. Now some people are saying, oh, they upgraded the tech. Listen, believe that if you want to, but that is the same camera that is in this phone. You could believe and buy into that if you want to. That's up to you. It is the same camera that is in this phone. This front camera records in 1440, which is 2K. The front camera on the S8 records in 1440, but it's a 8 megapixel, and this is a 5 megapixel. But they both have 1.7 aperture. You see, and the rear cameras are identical. Identical. Check it out for yourself. Samsung can say that they did this spectacular upgrade to the optics and use a different sensor, whatever. It's the same camera. I will compare them too. I will compare the S8 to the S7 as far as cameras go. Now, if it could be that they did something to the software. I don't know. But the S8 still has 4 gigs of RAM, and you get 64 gigs onboard storage. You know, this has 4 gigs of RAM though. So, you know, is it really a serious upgrade? That is what you have to, you know, ask yourself. And is it worth spending that $300? Because you're going to always be able to get a sweet deal on the previous model of a device. They have to discount. They can't leave it at a high price because their current models, you know, it just won't make any sense. Currently, the S8 is $750, and like I said, you can buy this for $450. $449 is what it is. So you do the math, and if you want to save a bunch of money, again, the cameras for me have become really important on the device, and battery life. Processors and all that, I think I'm kind of getting over that. I don't really care too much about a processor anymore. As long as it's optimized correctly with the hardware and software, it really wouldn't matter. So having a good camera and a nice size battery with the software and package put together nicely, I think it's going to be a good deal. So I'll compare these two later on down the line. Look for that comparison video next week, more than likely. But this S7 is here to stay, and I'm going to continue to probably use this to shoot video footage. Now, while I have comparisons done, I'll probably use the big boy here, I'll probably use the G6 or the U Ultra, because or this, I just have a bunch of phones with great cameras now, which is fantastic, man. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better suite. This camera right here is just fantastic, man. So I might use this one because this one has 4 microphones and the audio is just fantastic on here for the 3D audio. But it just dwarfs it, doesn't it? Dwarfs it. It's crazy. This little phone is a powerhouse though. But you know, I just got to tell you, the S7 is a phenomenal purchase still at this point in 2017. Performance is still really good on it, and now it has 7.0, so it's great. You know, just it's got all the features of the S8 pretty much. You know, you've got the Grace UI, and you know, they can rename their stuff all they want to. It's still just TouchWiz to me. It doesn't matter what you name it. You're known for TouchWiz. You're just tweaking the UI, making it look different, and that's it. So I'll have the S8 next to the S7 shortly. Stay tuned for that, and I'll point out even more what's different on it. But this phone is definitely still a good option in 2017. Nice compact size and a high-end flagship. It's great. Hardware is good. Fingerprint reader. You still get a headphone jack. Speaker is on the weaker side. You know, the speaker is not the loudest speaker on a phone, but you can solve that with Bluetooth, and you can also plug in your headphone jack. So you do the math. You let me know whether you think this is still a good option. If you still have this phone and you're not upgrading to the S8, tell me why in the comments. And if you have this phone and you are upgrading to the S8, tell me why in the comments. If you think this phone is not a good purchase in 2017, let me know in the comments. It's your man, Jay Will. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.